So now we're going to create a table in MySQL, and if you installed XAMPP at the beginning of this DVD video, then you already have MySQL installed, and you have phpMyAdmin installed, which you get to by going here. Let's copy this, do a Control-T in Firefox, get a new tab, and just go under localhost and type phpMyAdmin, and you'll be there. And here you can administrate your MySQL database. Here we have a database called test, and no tables are in it yet, so let's create one. We'll call it members and put 4 fields in it. And those fields will be ID, which is an integer, and let's see, auto increment key. That's a standard, so that the ID will be incremented by itself. We don't have to add it, which is nice. First name varchar 50, and last name varchar 50, and scores or score will be an integer. So go ahead and save that. Then you have this structure. Let's go ahead and add some test data by doing an insert and saying Jim Smith 23 and Joe Thompson 45, and then we can say go. So now we have, if you click on browse, you see that we have some information there. Now what we're going to do is use PHP to read this information out onto a web page. So let's go back to our code and do that. So the code to access MySQL database, or almost any database in PHP, is surprisingly easy. You just have to say MySQL localhost, and usually, okay, here you have to type in the username. Now, you should make a user called, for instance, website, and have some kind of password, like let's say dog. Okay, and we're going to use the test website. Okay, now let's try to access that and see what it says. Access denied for user website. That's because we don't have a user website. But if you are hosting a website online, you should have a user website, and let me tell you why. If you go here in phpMyAdmin, and you go over here to privileges, you will see all of the users. Now, basically, we only have one user, root, and it has no password, which means our database is totally open, and anybody who has access to it can do anything they want to it, which is not good. And your online database will not be like this. Your hoster would have set it up, or if you're in a project at your company, then your database administrator would have set it up differently. And if you're going to administrate your own database, then you should set it up differently too. For instance, you should say add a new user, and username should be website because that's what's accessing your website. Any host, let's just put it on any host now. Password, what did we say? Dog, type it in again, okay. Database for user none right now. And here you can say what you want your user to be able to do. So if you have a read-only database or website where your website is just reading information from the database and displaying it, and there's no forms or anything like that, then all you have to do, the only rights that your user has to have is select rights. Just say go, and you have created it. Click on privileges again, and you see that you have a user called website and select. If we go back to our page and try to run it again, we see that we now have access. And the advantage of that now is if anybody gets the password dog to your website user, well, they can only get information from your database. They can't do, for instance, what root can do. And that is everything. It can shut down, change users, everything. So that's just a little security precaution that you should keep in mind. We are, however, developing, so we're not going to use the website user. We're going to use root and not send a password at all because we're local and everything's okay. And we're doing this for examples, and it should be free and easy here. So this is the way you open up your database. Let's close the database by doing close. So that's the beginning and the end. Everything else is in between. So what do we need to do next? We need to get some records out of the database. So we're going to have to define an SQL statement. We'll call the variable SQL select star from members. Members is our table, remember. Right here in database test, members. Database test, table members. Okay, now we need to send this SQL statement to the database, and the way we do that is with db query, send the SQL statement. But that gives a result, so let's store it in a variable named result. So now we need to use the result and display the data that is in the result. And I'm going to go ahead and make a little function to do this, since it's a little bit of code to make it look nice and everything. So that function is going to be called display result, function display result. We're expecting the result. So I'll do my little template here. And now we want to build it. Let's put everything into a table, and close the table, close table. Everything else is in between. Now we need to run through the results. So the way you do this is while row equals results, fetch object. So now in here we have each row. We're going to make a row of an HTML table row like this. And here's the end again. So the rest is here in between. And we have a TD, which is going to be showing row ID like this. Like this. So the reason why I put HTML special characters around it is just good programming practice, because you don't know for 100% certainty what is coming from your database, and HTML special characters encodes the dangerous characters that could script in your program. So it's just good programming practice to always do that. Of course, you're probably not going to have any dangerous data from ID, but maybe from first name, you never know. And then we have here last name, and then we have here score. So let's make this kind of pretty. Background, what do we want? Background color, a little gray. Put some padding in it, maybe 3 pixels, and copy that for each one. Just so it looks nice here. Okay. So with this code here, let's take a look and see if it reads out our 2 records. And here we are. And there we are. Jim Smith 23, Joe Thompson 45. And here they are here. Let's add another one. Bob Quayle 78. So now he's added. We can see that he's added here. Browse. There he is over here, and here he is too. So we're reading out of the database.